I began experimenting with anything that I could get my hands on in high school. Kind of following in the footsteps of my hero, Hunter Thompson. I don't know if I was high or just so fearful. I didn't really experience the joys, if you will, of being high. Beginning in junior high, but really in high school, when I used drugs on literally a daily basis, with pot and alcohol, and escalated into pills, amphetamines, cross-tops, Nembutal, Seconal, downers that I would steal from my mom, and then progressed into cocaine. Needles never really bothered me because I had an allergy, real bad allergies when I was a kid, and I go to the doctor's office and got 3 shots a week from the time I was like 5 years old until I was 13 years old. Picking up a needle and shooting drugs was almost second nature when I did it the very first time. And you know, I was a very compulsive addict. Once I got the feeling for getting the rush, I wanted more and more and more. And when I was 17 is when I first started doing heroin. 4 or 5 months had elapsed, I was in a full-blown habit. I was stealing to support my habit. I stole checks from my mother, forged them. She finally figured out what was going on. Tough love turned me over to the cops. I was either looking at going to prison, or they gave me the option of going into a drug rehab program. And I got visited by a task worker, a treatment alternative to street crime worker, who arranged a placement for me in a program called Walden House in San Francisco. I was 18 years old when I first went into Walden House. I spent 14 months there and got a lot from the program, but not enough to stay clean. Went back to using. I was on probation at the time. Got violated again after running around for about a year without getting caught. They sent me back to Walden House, and this time I made the commitment that I was really going to try and stay clean. The stealing was getting out of hand. I was alienating my family, my friends. Nobody wanted to be around me. I came into Walden House the second time with a real commitment that I wanted to stay clean and sober. I went through the program, successfully completed it, graduated, actually worked for the program after I graduated. I became the special project coordinator guy for them. I decided I should take a vacation, and I went up to the Russian River and started using it. First just snorting. I figured if I stayed away from the needles that I would be okay. One of the dealers I was getting my speed from at the time, he was shooting it up and, you know, asked me if I wanted to, and at one point I said, yeah, what the hell? And quite frankly, after a number of years, I was terrified of getting clean. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think it would make me feel good. The only time that I stayed clean for more than 24 hours was when I got picked up on, you know, driving on a suspended license or possession of a hypodermic needle. I remember getting transported to the hospital in an ambulance, who had taken me there maybe 2 weeks earlier. But this time around, they checked my blood pressure and realized it was phenomenally too low for where it should have been. They took me to one hospital, a little hospital near the Russian River in Sebastopol. I was intubated. I had a medically induced coma. Was being transported out of the ambulance on the gurney, and the receiving nurse looked at me and kind of shook her head, and I said, you know, I do not feel good, you know, and I said, I feel like I'm dying. And she looked at me and she said, you are dying. She goes, we will do what we can do at our end, but if you want to live, you're going to have to fight like heck on yours. And I said a prayer, please, I don't want to die. And 2 weeks later, I came out of the coma, and it was like I had been given a second lease on life. It was a very strong spiritual connection for me. I felt like, thank you, Lord. I remember they said, oh, so Chris, this is a 6 to 9 month program. And I said, yeah, I'll take the 9 months. And they said, oh, that's really great. We appreciate your enthusiasm, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, right? I still had this thing for Walden House, mainly because I had met a girl there when I went through program that I fell head over heels in love with. I focused a little too much on her and not enough on my own issues. She said, well, I got a boyfriend, but we can go out and, see a movie or something. And so we did, and she talked about what was going on at Walden House, and she said she had talked to the CEO there, and he had remembered me, and not only worked within the program, but a very strong focus on participation in the 12-step fellowship. Having reconnected with the love of my life at Walden House, I was able to ultimately get into a relationship with her, right? And we got married. Debbie has been a very important part of my life and my recovery efforts ever since. We regularly attended NA meetings, we got a sponsor, we worked the steps, which is something that greatly aided in my recovery efforts, particularly early on in the process. I attended aftercare group, I did enroll in the sober living, and I surrounded myself with people who were really committed. I can't begin to tell you the benefits. I remember in program they asked us to, well, put down where you would like to be 5 years from now. And I remember saying, well, I'd like to, have a good job, maybe, pay over minimum wage, and I'd like to have a nice house that was renting somewhere that, and, I'd like to have a girlfriend, And I remember when I had 5 years, when I got my 5-year chip, I had a wonderful job. I was a vice president in a $50 million a year nonprofit organization. I was married to an absolutely beautiful woman and owned a 6-acre horse ranch in Santa Rosa. And I tell, clients that I work with to this day, right? If you just stop using, good things are going to start happening, right? And they're going to happen to you in ways that you have not imagined that they will.
Detox to Rehab wants to help as many people as possible and do it the right way. Please subscribe, comment, and like our channel. Thank you for watching.